Hey Lynn, you've seen this franchise go to the mountaintop, but when you came back, it wasn't, near that level. You had to be patient. You couldn't rebuild this thing overnight. But where do you feel you are now from when you walk back in the door?
Well, that's a good question. Let me have a drink of water on that one. When I came back, I put together a 3-year plan for where I would like to be this year, which is year 3. I think we had some setbacks when we had to change the staff. Then we got back on track last year with Christy and her staff and having the #1 pick and bringing in Aaliyah Boston. And so then I thought we got back on track. And then I thought we really competed well last year. Went from, last in the league, went from 5 wins to 13 wins. I think we maybe finished 9th or 10th. And we chased for a playoff spot. So that was the path that we wanted to go last year. Be competitive, chase for a playoff spot. And then now year 3, get another high draft pick. And so we were very fortunate. I guess sometimes losing does pay off because that kept us in the lottery with enough balls to challenge for that first pick. And then when we got the first pick, then we knew, hey, we're really on track year 3 to do what we wanted to do. And then we were able to select Clark with the first pick. So I think we're right where I wanted us to be, probably a little bit ahead with Clark and Boston. I didn't anticipate getting 2 back-to-back first-round picks. That doesn't happen very often.
Just got the mic there.
Who you want?
Go Lou first there. Then we go Dana next.
Hi, Lou Friedman from the Seymour Trivia. We talked on the phone a few months ago about the Northern Lights Invitational, if you recall, in Alaska, about you having been there. On this topic of the improvement, did you know right from the beginning that you were going to take Clark? There was kind of there was a period of silence, after she declared, and there was a lot of assumption. They were advertising for tickets on the NCAAs for the Fever, and this guy's painting a mural on the north side like it's a done deal. But did you always know you were going to take her?
When did I know that we would probably take Caitlin Clark? It would probably be the day she committed. We were caught off guard. We had no idea she was committing. We thought maybe she would wait till after the end of the season. She opted to go ahead and announce it so that she could put it behind her. And I think that was a great idea for her, helped her team focus on what they were doing. And so the minute she committed, in the back of my mind, okay, there's our pick. However, we knew we could not discuss it. We could not do anything to indicate who we might pick. And let's be honest, when a player commits to the draft, that doesn't necessarily mean it's set in stone. She could change her mind by the end of the season and go back to college. So in the WNBA, we don't try to entice players to come out. So we remained neutral. I thought we did a really respectful job with Coach Bluter and Coach Jensen at Iowa, keeping our space and not interrupting or disrupting their season. But in the back of my mind, I knew when the time was right, that was going to be our pick.
Dana, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, so I've seen all the Caitlin Clark Effect t-shirts, but back in 1979, there was Larry Bird, and he took the Celtics after coming out of college from 21 wins to 60 wins his first season. Do you think Caitlin can do that with the Fever? Do you see that big of a turnaround?
Wow, is Caitlin Clark the next Larry Bird? Loretta Bird. That's a great question. Let's hope she is. Let's hope she has the impact on this franchise that Larry Bird had on his franchise. I think the great thing about her is that she makes everybody better on the court. When she's out there, everybody's better. She has that impact on people. And she's very unselfish. She's an excellent passer. And so we're excited about how she can play with Aaliyah Boston, Alyssa Smith, how she can create shots for Kelsey Mitchell. So does she have the potential to have a huge impact on our program? I think so.
From front here to Mike.
Hey, Mike.
How are you doing? Lynn, if you look into history of #1 draft picks, and you've got 10 guards, and I'm counting Angel, for instance, in is a guard there. All of them have been pretty successful, and some have been incredibly successful. And a lot of them were pretty good their rookie years. Bird, Taurasi, Simone Augustus, Ryan Howard. How do you think Caitlin projects from that standpoint as being a guard taken first when you look at the success of some of the others historically?
I think for me, I'm fortunate because I had the opportunity to draft Sue Bird. I had the opportunity to evaluate her prior to the draft. And I see many characteristics between Bird and Clark some 20 years later. The interesting thing about Caitlin is her versatility. I felt like Sue was a true point guard. She really wasn't a two shooting guard. Whereas I see Caitlin more as a real point guard that can also be a combo and play the two because of her shooting ability. She comes into the league with a scoring mentality, but she can also facilitate. So I think when I look at the great guards that I've seen, how many years now? 28 years? We're 25 years old. The rest of the league is, what, 27 or 28? Caitlin has the potential, if she stays healthy, adapts quickly to the physicality of this league, she has the potential to have that kind of a career.
Chloe, go ahead.
Yeah, just when it comes to Caitlin, who necessitates security on her own, really, just does the franchise have plans for heightened security in airports or on flights this season?
Well, of course, we can't share with you any type of security plans that we have, but we're certainly aware of what took place at Iowa when she traveled to away arenas, and certainly we're aware of what happened at Ohio State. And we're going to take all the precautions we can to make sure that not only is she safe, but that I'm safe, that we're all safe, that all the players are prepared to be safe and secure. And I'm appreciative of Pacer Sports and Entertainment because they saw what took place at Iowa and they've taken the measures that we needed to take to make sure everybody's safe and secure. And I'm optimistic and I feel good about it.
Lynn, we've talked a lot about your new additions, but what has impressed you most about the work that your returning players did in the offseason that has set the bar a little higher to start things off here in 24?
That's a great question because this team has improved not only with the addition of Caitlin Clark, but we've brought in a couple of free agents, and I've been very impressed with them. We've had 5 practices, and I am thrilled with what I've seen with Katie Lou Samuelson. She is a perfect addition to what we needed. I'm really excited about Timmy Fagbenley, who played the last time she played with the Lynx in Minnesota. She is a post player that really is different from any of our other bigs. And so her speed and athleticism is really going to help us. Katie Lou's size and versatility, her ability to hit the 3, her ability to play the 3 and the 4. Timmy can play the 4 and the 5. So that's been a real boost to go along with that first pick.
Tony.
Hey Lynn, a lot's been made about consecutive #1 picks and how that's always led to a championship in the W. When you did it with the Storm 20 years ago, it still took them 3 years to get there. It took the Aces a couple of years, the Storm the second time. What does that gap take for you to continue to push this team forward and potentially accomplish that?
Well, let's remember when we did that with the Storm, we were an expansion team, and so expansion teams build off of slim and none. You know what I'm telling you? That first expansion draft was like, oh my goodness, who are we gonna take now? And so it took time, and it took time for Bird and Jackson to grow up. It took time for the Storm personnel to add a couple more pieces that complemented them. And so I think with us, we might be a little bit ahead of where the Storm was when we took Bird and Jackson because we had more talent as Boston and Clark are coming in. Can we challenge immediately for a championship? Let's be realistic. We're challenging to get in the playoffs. That's our goal this year. We know we're better. We know we have more talent, and we want to get in those playoffs and just see what we can do, and then just keep building, and hopefully in the future we can challenge for championships.
I think we'll go on Zoom here. Sean Schultz. Sean, you want to start first? Sean, you there?
Hi, Coach. Sean Schultz with WNBA with Yeah, can you
Yep, we got you.
hear me?
Sorta.
Okay. Sorry about that. The question is, observing your practice and training camp so far, what have you liked about what you've seen with the team as a whole, how the chemistry is coming together, all that?
High energy, great energy from all of the players. We've had 13 actually participating in camp. Kelsey Mitchell's sidelined a little bit with a sprained ankle, and one of our players is still trying to get here from Brazil with some visa issues. So we've had 13 players fully participating in practice. Great energy, great enthusiasm, very up-tempo, great emphasis on defense. I think I've been all over the coaches about we must improve our defense, and they're investing quality time in that. So I'm seeing improvement in the defensive area, but I'm very impressed with the team chemistry, how everybody's helping everybody, how everybody's pushing everybody, how hard they're competing. It's going to be hard for me to cut some players to get down to 12, and that's the way it should be.
We'll go to Sebastian next. Sebastian, then Lucas on Zoom.
Yes, thank you. This is Sebastian Rodriguez for Car Sports. Team, nice to meet you. You guys have a young and promising core, and do you think that the youth that you guys have on the court could be a challenge to solve in order to compete in the WNBA, or are you confident that the Indiana Fever will compete this year?
Whoa, you want to slow down. I'm from the South. You want to slow down so I can understand exactly what you're asking me.
Yes. Okay, so you guys have a young and promising core. Do you think that the youth that you guys have on the court could be a challenge for you to solve in order to compete in the WNBA, or are you confident that the Indiana Fever could compete this year?
Yeah, I think we are still very young, and I think we need to be aware of the fact that it's a process. There are steps to take. You know, just like a child, you know, you crawl, you walk, you run, and so we have to go through the process. But the exciting thing about young players, sometimes they have no fear, and sometimes they'll skip a process or they'll skip a step. So I'm not going to limit what this young team might be able to do. Unfortunately, the league has given us probably the most difficult schedule in the league to start the season. So we'll have to face that, and we'll have to face adversity early. But I think at the end of the day, that might make us better.
We've got time for one more. Lucas on Zoom. Lucas, go ahead.
Hi, Łukasz Pniowski, Swisha Bill. I have a very simple question, and it might be a nice conclusion to this conversation. So after all these years in the game, what drives you? Just what keeps you going?
Well, it's only been 54 years. I don't know why you're concerned about all these years. You know, I've retired 3 or 4 times, and this, by the way, is the final tour. Just like Cher, this is the final tour. I think the Indiana Fever, Pacer Sports and Entertainment has always been special to me. I invested 11 or 12 years in this franchise. We won a championship. I worked closely with Kelly Krauskopf and Rick Fuson and Jim Morris and the Simons, and so it meant a lot to me when they reached out to me and asked me if I could help them get back on track, and I certainly couldn't say no. And so it means a lot to me to come back and get this franchise. I almost think about it like as my daughter. You know, I'm going to help you get back on track, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to put you where you are supposed to be, in the playoffs, challenging for championships. And so it's a labor of love. I have to say that. And the people that I work for. Would I have done this for any other franchise? Absolutely not. I would be on the beach right now fishing or doing something crazy. But for Pacer Sports and Entertainment and the people here, I was certainly honored that they asked me to come back and help.